Hello, everyone. I am Julianne Meyer. You are watching Own Your Wellness, and I am beyond excited for today's guest because fortunately, a friend of ours introduced us, a mutual friend, and she is absolutely amazing. I'm just going to bring her on and get the conversation started. Welcome, Chella, to the show. So excited to have you here today.
I'm excited. Oh my goodness. And before we even get started, I love your background.
Oh, thank you so much. Isn't it fun? I wanted something bright and I wanted something that just sort of said energy and wellness. So here we are.
That's it. You got it.
Well, thank you. So, I had the honor and the privilege of speaking with you privately, and I was just so blown away by your energy and your personality and just how you help others. And I would love for you to share a little bit about yourself.
It will be my pleasure. And yes, don't you just love it when you have those connections where this is, you know what I mean? And you find ways to collaborate, you find ways to help each other, right? Not to say that other people, right? But it's when you find that, it's just, to me, that's what life is about. But I have been, and I'm going to give you a lot, but in a very short time. And that is, I've been there, done that, right? So I was in the corporate world. I was married. I have two sons, and I've been on my spiritual slash entrepreneur journey for over 20 years now. It's been the lessons. Oh my goodness, if I could just write a book on that, right?
I love that you put entrepreneurial as well as spiritual together, because to me, it's one and the same. How we show up for anything is how we show up for everything. And it's not like you put on a certain hat for one part of your life and then you put the rest in a box, because who you are is who you are. And I like that. It's a journey, you're not ever there.
But this is why I do what I do now, right? Because I have done that and because I have all this experience. And of course, the bonus is that for me, I've been good with money and managing money since I was 9 years old.
That is
Money is something that just made sense to me.
That's interesting to me. Most 9-year-olds don't ever think about cash, money, anything like that. What was it about that? Do you think it was an energetic thing, or was it just something that fascinated you?
Absolutely fascinated me, but also up until that point, as a girl, I didn't really feel that my opinion mattered. Or I was even, as little girls, you're just not allowed. And I'm not blaming or shaming anyone, but just, it didn't, right? Girls, what did they know?
Yeah.
Until my dad found out that I could go into the jar in the kitchen, get the money that I needed to go to the farmer's market. Everything shifted after that, because and I am good with numbers. Numbers are my friends. I love numbers. So to me, it was just what I had. But once that I started doing that, and they knew that I knew what I was talking about, right? I just, and my dad still tells the story, right? To this day, my nieces and nephews, they're like, oh, not that story again. So, but it's just something that made sense to me.
So it was just kind of like when everything is in flow and it just goes right into place. And it just, for whatever reason, it's that language you understand that other people are baffled by.
And I know this is going to say, oh, how could you? But I really did not truly found out that other people think about money differently until I got married.
Mm. I bet that was a wide, eye-opening experience.
Right, because because in the way I look at it now, it's like when you get married, of course, you have the stuff that you bring with you, but
Hmm.
then you also have your own money drama that you bring with you into the relationship. Forget the other relationships drama, that's all that. But just let's talk about the money drama that you bring to the relationship, how we grew up, what conversations did we listen to?
Hmm.
And that comes into the picture.
It really does. Like, did you hear things like money doesn't grow on trees or we can't afford that? I mean, all the good old, ones that.
And my favorite, there's only five. You just got two of them, and you have to work hard for your money. That
Yes.
I grew up with that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially we can't afford that. We can't afford to pay rent. We can't afford to pay the gas bill
Mm-hmm.
or electric bill or whatever it is, especially in places where it gets really cold.
Mm.
Now I'm in California, right? So we can't afford it. To me, that's not a big deal, right? Because we don't have the extreme snow, right? So to me, that wouldn't be a case for us. But when I meet people and they grew up where it's cold,
Mm-hmm.
and when they grew up as children and they were freezing cold because the parents could not afford to pay the bill, that leaves an imprint in your body.
It does. The old saying, we keep our issues in our tissues. And, I like the word imprint because that's exactly what it is. It's kind of like, it leaves a mark.
And it's about that's my favorite topic, and that's number one pillar. And I have five pillars for my program, and that's one, because once we sort of shine light on that, when you're no longer subject to that, right? We all carry it, but it's okay. How has that impacted your current financial picture? And
Hmm.
now that we're able to shine some light to it, right? Because it's not this big dark secret that we keep in the closet. And
Yeah.
what it is most, this is the one thing, it's what is most personal is it feels like it's personal to us, but when you get people in the room, you're going to find that other people feel the same way,
Hmm.
right? So what is
Oh,
most
I'm sorry.
personal to me is what is the one thing that's going to bring us together.
I love that. I used to work in addiction recovery, and one of the things that the therapist would do, and I just thought this was absolutely brilliant because in the world of addiction, you feel so alone, so isolated, so, shame, all the negative emotions that go along with the choices that are made. And what they would do is they'd sit everybody in a circle and have one person stand in the middle and say something they did in the height of their addiction. And then every other person who did that too would get up and they'd run and like find a new chair to sit in. And whoever was left standing would say something that they did in their addiction. And the same thing, the process just kept going. So everybody realized that even though they did things that they were ashamed of, they weren't alone in their behavior. And all of a sudden, it became so much easier to let go of that shame. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. So do you do something along those lines? Not that, but
Yeah, we don't run in around in church, although I like that idea.
yeah.
Yeah, because when you come down to it, I mean, specifically, we just work it out. Okay, what was that one of the memories that you remember when the
Mhm.
adults were talking about money,
Yeah.
right? And it's not necessarily, again, I don't believe in blame or shame. This is not about that. It's what the adults were saying. So one of the story that's very dear to my heart is a 6-year-old. It happens to be a niece, and the parents are employed,
Mm-hmm.
and they were paying all the bills. This is a Friday night. They were paying all the bills, and they said, "We don't have money." Okay,
Mm.
well, we don't have money until next payday. All the obligations are paid. We don't have money until next payday. That's not what the 6-year-old heard. And
Mm-hmm.
I know you're thinking, okay, what does that have to do with me? Because I want you to go back, and this is specific because this is a game changer. I want you to go back and remember the money conversations you remember listening to adults. And it's not about what they said, but it's about what that little girl or that little boy felt. What are some of the emotions that that child felt? So for this
Mm-hmm.
particular child, I happened to be picking her up the following day, following Saturday morning. I usually do either lunch and baking and manicure with my nieces and nephews for their birthdays. So I happened to be picking her up. So on our way to my place, what she told me was that she was afraid of where she was going to live and how she was going to eat. And I'm
Oh.
like, uh, tell me more. And she said, well, my parents said last night that we don't have any money. So if we don't have any money, where are we going to live? How are we going to eat? Right. So it's not about what the adults said necessarily, but it's about what that child, that 6-year old, 7-year old, however old you were, what was that impression that was left in you that
Mm-hmm.
led you right for her. And so it was a good thing that I was there. But to me, it was like, okay, so no. And I explained to her, right, but what if I wasn't there? What if
Mm-hmm.
she would have, grown up with that story, with that worry? Ooh, I'm going to be homeless. Ooh, where am I going to eat? Right? Those are two, right, essential things, food and shelter.
Yeah.
Right. So for the listeners, what was that money conversation that you remember? And then step one, step two is what was that child? What was the emotions that they felt? And of course, I'm not just going to leave you hanging because now the third step, because I want you to walk away, this is game changer. Every single person that has done this,
Mm.
it's shifted because you're shining light on that, whatever that private thing that you think it only happened to you. And the third step is writing a letter to that event, to that scene, to whatever it was. And then you simply at the bottom is, I acknowledge and release.
Mm. I love that. And I'm assuming that there's typically more than one of those memories.
That wisdom and move forward with it.
Mm.
There you go. That's the 3-step process to shift your money relationship.
I love that so much. It's something that, anybody can do and to start changing that relationship right away. It seems sometimes the biggest impact, in my opinion, is the most what would be considered simple idea. And most people don't do it because they figure, oh, that can't possibly work. But why does
And
it have to be
today,
complicated?
I was going to say, and today I invite you because you know what? Let's face it, humans, we like to complicate things.
Yes. Guilty.
I'm only saying it because I've been there. But for that, I invite you to go, not in a stockish kind of way, but go to a park where there's little boys and little girls playing around. Again, not stalking, but just go, right? And watch how they see the world.
Hmm.
Watch how they react to things. Because to me, it's so very telling because there's this freedom, right? They don't have the baggage that we have. So
Hmm.
they see things so much simpler.
They really do. They don't have as many filters to look through that we've accumulated over the years. I love
Well,
that.
yeah, but I believe that we can learn a lot from them, right? Even
Oh,
just a new point of view, a new way to see things.
well, that's I think that that's a very valid point because we get used to seeing things from one perspective, but there's not just one perspective. We all know this. So why not try looking at it from a different direction? I love that. So for people that are like me who maybe don't really remember their childhood, what can we do?
Oh my goodness, I wish we would have practiced that, but that is so so important because a lot of people don't. Most people do, but there's a lot of people that don't.
Mm-hmm.
So for that is if you don't remember, oh my gosh, I can't tell you that is precious. If you don't remember any conversations the adults were having, then what are some of the feelings, emotions that you have about money?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because if they didn't talk about it, what did that child walk away? What did they think? Right? Because that's when we get into a lot of the cases. Talking about money is taboo. That's not something we talk about, right? That's not
Mm-hmm.
something we talk about in public. That's not, right. So, what are some of the things that that child walk away with? Because that's even more important. Because if
Mm-hmm.
we didn't hear anything, let's be honest, what story, what emotions, what feelings did that child walk away with?
Exactly. And that's what it comes down to anyway, ultimately, because like you were saying before, what was said is not necessarily what the child experienced in their thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Oh, there you are. We lost you for a second.
We're back.
We are back. So, for those that are watching, just so that you're aware, in California right now, we are having some weather. So, it might be messing with the internet just a little bit. So, bear with us. But anyway, let's get back to the conversation at hand. You know, I like this idea of it being something that we talk about as far as thoughts, feelings, emotions versus necessarily the exact conversation that was said. So is that something that we can continue with and think about and be aware of as we continue in our daily life? It's not necessarily just like you write I'm asking a question now, that it's not just writing the letter and it's gone forever. It's something that now we can be aware of and pay attention to.
Absolutely. And I've been doing this for over 20 years. And as early as just a couple of months ago, I was with my coach and I was able to take off another layer, right? It doesn't mean that you are
Oops. Hold on one second, everyone.
whatever emotions, whatever feelings you had, they were it's different outfits. So when you were 10 years old, that was an outfit. When you were 15, that was a different outfit. So it may seem like it was something different, but it was just that emotion, those feelings taking on a different personality.
I like that. It kind of grows and evolves with you and becomes more entrenched.
There will come a point in time. We don't want to make it seem like it has to be hard all the time. It's just the awareness that is there.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're aware, then you'll be in a position to choose something different.
Exactly. And once you start to see something, it becomes easier to see. It becomes easier to recognize faster, quicker, and easier to change your perception on that. I love that. All right. We are going to go to a commercial break. We'll be back in just a minute. When we come back, we're going to speak with Chella a little bit more about how people can maybe change their perception of money and start creating the income, the wealth, not only financially, but spiritually as well. We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us now, I'm Julianne Meyer. You are watching Own Your Wellness, and today's amazing guest is named Chella. We're going to bring her back to the stage in just a moment. But before we do, I just want to say something really quick, and that is that our mindset about money, our thoughts, feelings, and emotions about money has very little to do with the actual money itself. You can have $1 billion and still feel poor and still have a lack mindset. You can still be afraid. It does not necessarily have anything to do with the quantity you have or don't have. However, if you do have a poor mindset when it comes to money, the odds of you having less is a lot more likely. So let's bring our amazing guest back onto the stage. Welcome back.
That was brilliant.
Thank you so much, Chella. Oh, we got you frozen just one more time. For those of you that are watching us live, just know, like I said before, we're having some weather out here in California, so bear with us. All right, you're unfrozen.
Let's do it. But that was brilliant, Julian. That was because, right? And we go back to the story of, what you listened to. Let's say two brothers grew up in the same household. It's about what they do internally. One of them goes out and is able to become successful, achieves whatever, right? And the other person, because they're playing that same record, ooh, I'm going to be homeless, I'm going to be, don't have any food, they tend to go in the different direction, right? Because that's what the record that they keep playing in their mind.
I think it does come down to also, the laws of the universe. What we focus on expands. And, a lot of us think, oh, I'm not thinking about lack, but we really are when we're trying to avoid something. We're not thinking about what we want. We're thinking about what we're trying to keep away from us. And so, of course, that's what we're focused on without even necessarily realizing that that's the case. So I would love for you to speak a little bit about that because, most of us aren't aware that we're even doing it.
Yeah, we have so many different thoughts, right? And to me, it's not about not having those thoughts because those thoughts are going to come. But this is something from one of my coaching programs that I learned is that, let's say that you think, okay, I don't have enough money, whatever the case may be, you're going to be, you're broke, you can't, whatever it is, whatever the conversation was that you listened to. Well, okay, well, we're adults. And I'm not saying that we didn't have those experiences because those experiences are what helped you become who you are today. But you can take those experiences, those learnings, that wisdom, and do something differently with it.
Exactly. No, I love that too. It's kind of like, how long are we going to blame our parents? Maybe we were wronged. Maybe they weren't the best, but you know what? I'm about to be 46 years old. How long am I going to dine out on that as my reasons for not doing what, being an adult myself and taking ownership of my own life? You there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, great. So what I'm thinking is, you've mentioned coaching a couple of times, and I would love for you to explain to the audience who's watching how it is that you coach people.
I believe in keeping things simple. So I have 5 pillars. We just talked about pillar number 1. It's identifying and releasing money drama from childhood. No blame, no shame, none of that. But once you identify, shine some light. And this is for my ladies. Ladies, we undercharge, we undervalue, and we give too much stuff away. So my second pillar is guiding women to package their services. Plus, also sometimes women have a long list, a la carte of all these things that they do. Nothing wrong with that. And I know you have a lot of skill sets, but what if we package it in the form where that package is going to attract the people that you want to work with? So packaging yourself so that you're not, Jane of all trades. You become specialized in, it's not that you can't do all those other things, but you choose your specialty, you choose your lane, and
Mm-hmm.
you go down that lane. So that's packaging your services so that you're attracting the people you want to work with.
Exactly. Exactly. Because if you're not focused on something, you're not going to attract anything.
So a good sign, and this is just a total side note, a good sign to me is when people say, I help everybody. Okay. So once skin, like makeup, not makeup, but creams and all of that. And
Mhm.
that's what she said. She says, my skincare is for everybody. And I was like, and I didn't say this, but I did hear it. I was in the room. I was like, oh, so does that mean a 6 month old? Because they have skin. That's what they said. I help anybody with skin. So a 6 month old with skin, you would help them. Everybody and anybody just doesn't. Pick a lane. Pick a lane.
Yeah.
So that would be pillar number two. And then being real, get real with your numbers. How many clients do you really want to meet your
Mhm.
financial goals?
Yeah.
Right? Get real with that. Instead of concentrating on all the people that said no, concentrate on the people. Okay, you know what? I need to enroll this many people to meet my financial goal. It makes it a lot easier, and it's a lot easier on our mind because then
Mhm.
we're not thinking about all the no's. No, we're thinking about, okay, I need this tiny little pool of people in order to meet my financial goals. So that will be getting real with your numbers, what I call power wealth hours.
Ooh, I
Because you
like
can
that.
it's good stuff.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, power. That's when you're setting the intention and you're planting the seeds, power, wealth hours that are
Mhm.
going to produce the results and the income that you desire for your business.
I love that. And I love that we're talking about money because I love money and people never want to talk about it. And I'm thinking, you know what? I can't help the people I want to help if I don't have any money. Impact is a given. Let's talk about quality of life. Let's talk about opportunity.
And let's talk about, the more money you have, the more money you can give. So
Exactly.
that's pillar number three. Pillar number four is networking. Networking is not throwing spaghetti against a wall and see what sticks. That's not what networking is, right? And I speak from experience because once upon a time I used to attend 20 networking events a month. I don't
So,
do that anymore because my coach, I cannot use the words he used to get me to stop doing that. So I don't do that anymore. But really staying focused on where is your tribe? Where
mhm,
can I hang out to meet the people that know the people that I need of my service?
mhm.
Right? So being really intentional with that. And my fifth pillar, and I love talking about this, the fifth pillar is LinkedIn.
Really?
LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a phenomenal place to become visible and to meet. It's a great place to do market research. It's a great place to have conversations. It's a great place with your post to have people reach out to you. I mean,
Mhm.
let's be honest. Let's be totally honest here. If five people are reaching out to you because they say, we read this post, I like what you said here. Can we have a conversation?
Mhm.
That is at least you already, they may not be a fit for you,
Mhm.
granted that, but at least they're reaching out to you.
You're being the lighthouse versus the ship on the sea. People coming to you.
I'm going to change it to LinkedIn. I'm going to change it to be the lighthouse. That's what, and it matches, right? LinkedIn, lighthouse. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
The
Those are the
LinkedIn
five
lighthouse.
pillars that I have. And together, they
Yeah.
all go work together because once you release the money drama,
Mhm.
you're in a different space energetically and you're able to see opportunities you could not see before.
That is such a valid point. People don't realize because it's kind of like, you're walking down the street and you're worried about money. So you're on your phone and you're just like, you scrolling. You don't notice $100 bill that was on the ground there because you were so stuck in your head and distracted from what's right in front of you. I always wonder, I always wonder, or think about the times when you see somebody out and they don't see you. That happens all the time. So what are we missing? It's
Now,
there.
I do find money. I find money 90% of the time I step outside my house.
Actually, so do I. I find money quite often. Even when I was living in New York City, I remember I was really, at this point, I had zero money. I didn't even know how I was going to eat. And all of a sudden, I'm walking down the street and I found $20. And I was like, that's going to feed me till my next paycheck.
And also, I've come across people, I pick up pennies,
Me
right?
too.
Because I pick up pennies, but like, a penny, 5 cents is not worth it. Oh, no, no, because see, not only am I getting a penny, but I'm also getting an opportunity to do a squat as I go down to pick up the penny.
Well, also, you're saying to the universe, yes, please, I would like this money. Thank you. I will take it, instead of saying, you gave me money. No, thank you.
That's exactly right. It's how do we, and you bring up a good point. How are you treating money,
Mm-hmm.
right? Are you treating money as a friend and you guys are hanging out?
Yeah.
Or are you treating money like that past relationship that didn't work out? And we all have
Exactly.
one, right? We all have those. For whatever reason, you went separate ways. It doesn't have to be anything negative, but for whatever reason, you grew in different directions. So which one? And I know this is going to be another letter, but it's very, very. So my record time right now is 2 hours. After somebody wrote this letter that I'm about to share with you, they received money within 2 hours after they did this letter. So if yours happens to be faster, let me know so that I can change my record. So it's 2 hours. I spoke at a mastermind, and so they kept in touch with me and they send me a message. They're like, yeah. So write a letter to money. Dear money. And imagine the money is that friend that you haven't seen for a while. I'm not saying you're broke. I'm just saying it doesn't matter where you are with your money. Please understand this. So, if whatever income you are, if you want to get to the next level, this is good. If you're whatever, it doesn't matter. Write a letter and put as much emotion into the letter of the experiences you're going to have together.
Mm.
Right? Because it's the emotion is the experiences. I
Yeah.
mean, if having that money in the bank account sitting there and you're looking at it, is that going to bring you joy? Great, that's for you. Are you going to treat yourself to lunch? Are you going to go on a vacation? Are you going to contribute to your nonprofit? Give your money a destination.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, what are those emotions that bring within you, right? Because that's what it said. I hate to say, that's the emotions. It's those feelings that are going to make that impact. So that letter, again, 2 hours is my record. Write it, sign it, burn it, shred it, whatever it is to do, just put it out and
Yeah.
see what happens. What do you have to lose? What if you do get money? Call me up. We'll have lunch.
I love that. I love that so much. I was thinking about the time that I was reading, what was it? E Squared by Pam Grout. I don't know if you've ever heard of that book or read it. It's interesting. It's like it's an experiment book about the laws of the universe. And one of them was about like asking for something that you wanted and then letting it go for the day. And it was interesting because I did it and I forgot all about it. And I got home and I was telling my boyfriend at the time, what happened and how I'd been at my client's house that day and his wife had passed away. And he'd asked me if I wanted to go through her clothes and take anything. And so I did. And I probably got like $5,000 worth of clothes because she has expensive taste and they were beautiful. So, so I had all these new clothes and my boyfriend said something to the effect of, wow, the universe must love you. And I was like, wait a second. I didn't even remember that I had literally asked for a present and I had literally asked for clothes that I didn't want to pay for. I didn't even remember any of that. And it was like, the universe gave it to me, and I still wasn't even paying attention until he pointed it out to me.
But that's it, right?
Yeah.
And this is what, just becoming aware of that, which is, I go back to the initial one, is when you're becoming aware what story is running behind you. What is
Mm-hmm.
those money conversations or lack of conversations? What did that child grow up thinking about money?
Yeah.
Right, because that's going to say, and again, the only reason I'm not, this is not therapy, this is not about going back and going through the pain. No, it's about acknowledging and releasing so that
Mm-hmm.
you're able to create a new story.
Yes. And that is so important because we're telling ourselves a story anyway. We might as well tell ourselves a better one, one that suits us versus, what's not working for us anymore. We can write our history and our future. It is, people don't really realize that it is all a story anyway.
It's what we made up, right?
It
Like that
is.
6-year-old child that thought she was going to be homeless, didn't have any food because
Yeah,
the parents said we don't have any money. Right?
exactly.
They didn't get the whole picture. They only got pieces of the puzzle. They didn't get the complete puzzle in that.
And I think that most adults nowadays realize that they don't get the whole picture, even though it feels like we do. Because I've even looked at old videos and I could see where I was thinking something and it wasn't what I was perceiving was not accurate. But that's really what I saw at the time. And I just remember what I was thinking in that moment. And I thought, wow, that's messed up. I don't have to believe every single thought I think just because I think it. I might as well pick something better. I love that. All
Again,
right.
it's recreating the future that you want.
Exactly.
Creating the future. Again, not dismissing what happened. We
No.
acknowledge, we take the wisdom and
Mhm.
create the future that
Exactly.
you desire.
I love that. On that note, we are going to go to one more commercial break. We'll be back in just a moment. And for those of you who are watching us live, thank you so much for hanging in with the slight technical difficulties. Isn't this an amazing conversation, though? So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about, our relationship with money and becoming aware and even, like not being everything to everyone, because I think that that's something that we need to talk into a little bit more. We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back, everyone. Let's bring our guest Chella back to the stage. Welcome back. If you're just joining us now, our amazing guest Chella is here. She is so good with money and, the energy behind it. And I think that if you've been following along so far, you realize that money is just a thing, but it's what it represents that we're talking about, and therefore the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that go behind it. And if you're not happy with the way that things look in your life, you could do the work and change your reality. So, before we went to commercial break, I was talking a little bit about this idea of, especially for women, this idea of not trying to be all things to everyone all of the time, and how we think, at least and correct me if I'm wrong, but my experience has been that we think that we need to appeal to everyone in order to even appeal to anybody. And without realizing that that means nobody really is attracted to us because we haven't picked anything. So,
And 100% on point here. Totally. And think of paint, right? If you have paint, let's say I'm choosing to be blue. What happens if you bring in all the other colors of the rainbow? Right? I'm no longer blue. And I mix them all in.
yeah.
Right? Think of your business just that we can be geniuses in a lot of different zones. Also, the other mistake that I think we make is we go and we want to enroll people with the things that's most popular, not necessarily the things that bring us more joy. Right? I can do a lot of different skill sets, but I don't want to work in the area just because I'm good at it doesn't mean I want to work in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really important. It's like, what brings you joy when you're talking about working? And let's face it, that also is how we attract challenging clients.
Mm-hmm.
We are not in alignment with what brings us joy. Therefore, that's what we're putting out. So what if you have 20 different skill sets? What if you narrowed it down to 3
Mm-hmm.
and you say, okay, this is what I really enjoy doing. You package that service and then you go out and you find the people that are ready for your service. And very, very important part too, they can afford to pay you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. That is important.
That is so juicy. We have to say that again, ladies. Make a list of your services and look for out or put it out. I'm looking for the people, the women, the service, whatever, that are ready for my service and can afford to pay. They go hand in hand.
They do. In the media world, what you just said is what we call a soundbite. That's one of those things that we could create reels of just that and blast everywhere because, like you said, it's juicy. For those, I just have to say, pay attention. That was liquid gold for the ears. Hopefully,
another one. I'm going to borrow that. This is so liquid gold. Yeah, I love it's so delicious. We have to say it again. But once you do that and you find that that's your lane, right? Yes, we're going to encounter as you're going down the road, as you're going paving your path, you're going to find the people that are saying no. That doesn't mean you're in the wrong place or you're doing the wrong thing. That just means, and this is just my opinion, you're being tested to see, are you going to say yes to these folks? Or are you going to stay on path and find the people that are ready for you? Totally transparent. Yes, of course, at the beginning of my journey, I did take on those challenging clients because I needed to pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be times we're going to do that, right? So I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that just because I'm not finding the people that are ready to, doesn't mean I'm going to give up or, ladies, please, please, or I'm going to lower my fees. That's not going to happen.
No. In fact, you should probably raise them. I know, and this is so true. Every time I have lowered my fees or made a concession or, did something in order to help somebody, it didn't help them. It just made it harder for me to do what I do. and made the relationship between us a little rocky, because one, they couldn't afford it because they weren't ready for whatever reason. That's why they didn't have the money for it. They weren't ready.
And that's it, right? It's not a personal thing. It's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
timing. I like to think of it as the timing is not right.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have 100 cheerleaders out there telling other people about my programs
Mm-hmm.
than having 20 clients that are they're not a fit for me.
Exactly. It shouldn't be pulling teeth.
It shouldn't be challenging. I'm not saying we don't work hard. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
But if you wake up and you're going about your day and that challenging client is calling you or sending you a message or they sent you an email and your body tenses up, that's not the right fit.
Exactly. And, it's funny that you would say that because I actually was speaking with one of my business partners about a particular client that I have where now it's gotten to the point where I feel that way every time I get a text message, a call, an email, or anything. And the advice I was given was, why don't you set up a time and have a call with them and be like, okay, I'm feeling this. How can we move past this and like lower the temperature?
And also, that's a good point, and I do believe that in 100%. The other thing, though, and I'm not saying this is you, but sometimes when you get that all the time, but sometimes there's also an opportunity for us to go back and reflect as to why we said yes. I'm not saying that we made the wrong choice, but why did we choose? Why did we make that decision? Now, in my case, I needed to pay the bills, so I took it on. So I was aware of what was going on,
Mm-hmm,
right?
exactly.
So, but going back and remember, okay, why? Right? Was it because, and this is common, I'm not saying this is you, but this is common what I've seen, because you want to help somebody. But it goes deeper. Let's take it
Mhm.
deeper, ladies. It's about maybe as a child, you needed to do that behavior in order to get attention, right? You needed to make somebody happy. You needed to did this. You need to do that. If once you make that connection and acknowledge, I'm not saying don't have the conversation, but why did you make that decision? Because the important thing here is not to do it again.
Exactly. And I love that you're sharing too. And because I want to repeat this too, as long as you're aware, like if you need to pay the bills, you need to pay the bills. And so you go in taking on this client knowing full well that's why you're doing it. That's a huge difference between that and like it having to do with your self-worth or or wanting to help, being the martyr and wanting to help somebody and at your own expense. There's a huge difference between those two reasonings behind it.
Energetically, right? And once you become aware, you can make a different choice. But then
Exactly.
also, ladies, when we want to help somebody, even though we know they can't afford it, right? Think of us, and I'm not saying this in an egotistical way, but think of us as we have the skill set, we have a PhD.
Mm-hmm.
They're just starting out on their journey, they may be in high school. If they can't afford whatever service you're offering, they're going to resent you.
Yep.
Right? Because you want it, in women, we want to pull everybody to our level. Okay, got to tell you, if somebody is stuck in the mud and they're happy there, I'm sorry, but we got to leave them there. And
Yep.
I'm not saying that's easy because I cannot tell you. The list is long of the people. It's like, but come on, let's do it. It doesn't work because they resent you for even wanting to get them out and for them to now know, oh, yeah, I'm stuck in the mud. Because just because they're stuck, they have the choice to get unstuck.
Exactly. And they will get there as soon as the pain is great enough. They will leave as soon as the pain is great enough. But until then, you can't. And that's the thing. Like when I used to work in as a personal trainer and a nutrition coach, you can't want it more than the client.
Yeah.
I can't make them do it.
No. And that's it, right? We cannot want it. We can see it,
Uh-huh.
we can guide them, but they have to take the actions.
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
have to
Ownership.
do the work.
Exactly. Oh, that's Yes, it is very true. I love that. We are running low on time. We only have about 3 minutes left. I'm curious if there's anything that you haven't mentioned that maybe you want to, that is really important for the conversation today. And then also, I do want to mention too that everybody can find you on LinkedIn, and it's also in our show notes as well. But just to make sure that everybody knows and remembers, in case they didn't catch that, it's in the show notes.
We've covered a lot of things. If you're listening to you, see that as a sign that you're ready. I don't mean that you need to go out and take all those steps that we talked about today. Take one step.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because a lot of things is like, unless we're going to, no, we don't have to eat the whole pie. Okay, but I have. But that's not the case, right? We don't have to eat the whole brownie or the bag of chips. But take a step. What resonates with you? What is the one action that you can go out? Is it writing the letters? Whatever it is. Because
Mm-hmm.
the minute you begin, you're peeling off the layers. That's all we want. Take an action. It doesn't have to be done today,
Yeah.
right? What if you schedule it
Yeah.
into your calendar,
Mm.
right? Schedule that time where you're going to take care of, where you're going to do that step, whatever that may be, because that's going to get you closer to letting go of the money drama and
Mm-hmm.
creating the life that you desire.
I love that. And I think too, something that I think a lot of people are missing about what you're saying, or not yours, but what we're saying. And I want to point this out, is that this isn't a destination. Like you get there and you're done. This is a way of being, a way of life, a way of how you show up for yourself in the world. And like you said, the layers. So I think that that is so important. I just think that you are an absolutely wonderful human. And I'm blessed that our friend Jonathan introduced us, because he's a sweetheart too. But I'm so grateful for you being on the show today. It has been an absolute pleasure. You've given actionable steps for people, and I think that that is truly important. And for everybody, once again, I want to say Chella is on LinkedIn. If you Diaz is your last name, correct? So
All right.
people can find you that way. And then also, like as I mentioned, in the show notes. But yeah, I guess that's it for today. I'm so disappointed that it's already come and gone so quickly. But anyway, Chella, I just wanted to say thank you again. Truly, truly appreciate you being here. And I just want to say thanks. And to everybody who's watching us, we will be back again next Thursday. And until then, enjoy the rest of your week. Bye, everyone.